Bottom right hand side, our blue Zerg player. In game number 5, this is Bly. Currently 1 and 2 in the group, actually. Let's see if we can take it to a 2 and 2 as we get this ready to go. To the top left, we have our yellow Terran player, Iron Chains Ziggy. What is that pool positioning? I actually have no idea. I don't know what to tell you. It's a bit different, isn't it? It's not what you would usually expect by any stretch of the imagination. Wow. That is really quite something. Well, I guess we'll see how that goes. We do see the pool just chilling out over there. Hatchery on its way down on the natural. Is that the StarCraft 1 skin? Yeah, it's what did it come out with? It came out with the BlizzCon virtual ticket, right? It's cool, right? We actually don't see many players using this skin, but I really like it. It's cute. It's very cool. Big fan. Alright, well, with Ling's coming across the map, Ziggy's not doing anything all too crazy, which is worth mentioning, because Ziggy is the sort of player who will free racks Reaper still in 2018, so fun stuff. Let's see, Reaper picking up a couple of kills, getting a couple of Zerglings there. Ling speed on the way up here now from Bly. Getting that started up, so getting that going up at the moment. Lings across the map do end up picking up that Marine. They'll go back down and try and get the SCV, but this should be okay. That one Ling is so low on health, and the other one's scouting around, so CC finishes. Bless me, sorry, sneezing. Oh, excuse me. This is the second day in a row where I've had, like, the triple sneeze on stream. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, excuse me, after that starport coming down, we do see the third hatchery dropping down here as well from Bly. So getting that set up as this Reaper will be coming down to the bottom right hand side to see what is next. So a couple of Hellions on the way, nothing really too crazy about that, of course. It's actually very standard from Ziggy. I do wonder what his plan is once the starport comes up here. Does he go Fusion Core? Does he play that Battlecruiser style like we've been seeing so often? Or is there something else going to be at play in all of this? Viking on the way out, and there it is. Fusion Core comes down as a Viking into Battlecruiser. The sneezes up because I played Fortnite. I mean, if you say so, why not? Fusion Core is about to finish in just a few moments' time, so the command center dropping down as well. There's the Battlecruiser getting started. As these 4 Hellions coming down the right, we see a few Queens. A little bit of damage done, some creep getting cancelled, more creep spreading out. And Bly obviously had some troubles against Marine Lord's Battlecruisers earlier today. Can Ziggy have the same effect? That's the question. Ziggy has all the cool skins. Yeah, he does, doesn't he? He's really playing like, you know, X-Wing, Viking, old school SCV, the Battle Hellions. Yeah, he does. What Battlecruiser skin do you guys reckon he has? What do you think? Any predictions? I actually don't know. I actually don't know what he's going to come up with on the Battlecruiser. I mean, we don't see Battlecruiser skins at all, really, because we rarely ever used to see Battlecruisers, so I don't even know what skin to expect. We're going to find out in 3, 2, 1. It's... oh, the Emojin Battlecruiser. And it teleports straight across the map into a position where I managed to lose it. How did I lose it? There it is. Alright, well, Spore Crawler not quite in position right away as the BC shows up. Yamato onto the Queen. And we'll just get rid of that first drone there. Goes towards the main base where there is... Okay, there still is a Spore Crawler. He's chasing Queens. I kind of like what Marine Lord did more, where he just decided to go straight for the straight for the drones. Because if you go straight for the drones, you're guaranteed to get quite a lot of workers. Whereas right now, what is this battlecruiser really doing? It's just kind of chilling. Well, Hellions are going to run by the third base, and you know what? The Queens are so out of position. These drones are in a lot of trouble. So already 8 drones going down, and obviously going to chase for a lot more. SCV's going down. There's a couple of lings on the third base. Will be successful, but the entire third base mineral line is now dead. That's 18 workers killed as the Viking is maybe going to fall victim here to these Queens. BC back in the main. Gets one more drone, but we'll go back onto the Roaches as well. Hellions still trying to push the front, as the Queens are going to be able to push those Hellions away. Just gonna, yeah, if you haven't seen this BC rush before, then you probably haven't watched StarCraft the last couple of weeks or so. Since the new patch, this has actually become the meta game in ZvT. Like, this is what Terrans do the majority of games. Well, right now, these drones continue to drop down. As Bly across the map, though, Lings are still finding some SCVs, the run-bys, and now a Roach counter-attack as well. Look to be somewhat effective. Spore Crawler still firing away on this battlecruiser here, but it's just going to sit around 13, 14, 15 kills, going up to 16 maybe. It turns around onto the Queen. The battlecruiser falls. Other BC has 7 kills and harassing over here. Ziggy has taken a bit of a lead, but this game's not over yet. Bly has money to spend. If you can spend that money, this still could have some potential for him. Would he please do this battlecruiser rush against Jim Rising? If I get to play Jim Rising in the Casters Invitational, I would be amazed, because then I don't expect to beat In Control, so I would have to expect Jim Rising to beat Fear Dragon, and then Jim Rising would... If I play Jim Rising, sure, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Command Center drops down from Ziggy in the third base. Again, the CC down, getting it ready to go. You see the Spire currently on the way up in the back of the main. Yamato cannon will drop, and the Queen going to get picked off as well, so nicely done there. As we are going to be seeing Ziggy just coming in, working his way through that extractor, having to be a little bit careful at the moment. And as you see, the Queen's just going to continue to push that BC away. A couple more Roaches coming over, see a couple of Hellions moving into Hellbats, and again the battlecruiser up in the sky, just able to help get rid of so many of these Roaches. So Bly not doing a lot with his counter-attack at the moment. The other battlecruiser still getting some more damage done. As you see, SCV's pulling in to repair up the BC, so battlecruiser going to get repaired. Backfield Accelerator on the way up with a Cyclone on the way out. And these Roaches from Bly coming towards the center of the map. As a few head over to the left side, going to run in here on the third. Roaches running straight in, 4 or 5 workers already down. Looking for a few more SCV kills, and well, good damage done so far as the BC will again clean up, but it's still good damage. I mean, Bly's still doing bits and pieces to kind of get back in this. He still has a ton of money in the bank. He just doesn't have the lava. He's got Spire, but he only has 1 Mutalisk. I'm not sure what Bly's plan really is. The 1 Mutalisk Harass doesn't seem too hopeful, though. It's taking down pretty quick. Hellions run down the right side. Running through and looking to try and hit that hatchery on this bottom side. A few Queens coming in and going to be able to pick off that Hellion. Nice defense from Bly, but he really needs it, doesn't he? He doesn't really have much to do otherwise. Corruptors coming up are a pretty good response here, actually, to the battle cruisers. They will actually be able to work their way through them at the very least. So these Corruptors gathering up down on the bottom side. Up to the top, the Roaches from Bly starting to hang out as well. They're going to be coming all the way around too, and well, Ziggy just continues to set up with vehicle play and upgrades, Cyclones and Hellions. There's a 4 as well. I think he was afraid of more meters. Oh my god, look how many roaches just died. Those Cyclone lock-ons are absolutely deadly. BCs teleport into position to shut these roaches down as well. There's just no getting out of there. Roach after roach going down. Aye, aye, aye. Alright, well, Cyclone's going to come down the right-hand side. There's going to be seeing a couple of creep tumors. Continuing to get picked off here. BC's continue to come in, and Ravager does get cancelled. At this stage, Bly, I mean, he's trying to get some Hydras up, but I kind of like the idea of just kind of going Corruptors with Roaches. I mean, the Hive's coming up, and one of the big things to deal with this would be the Hive tech for the Vipers. The Vipers would be very good against this, actually. The issue is he's just nowhere near enough to the Hive to realistically get towards that. The Corruptors will get rid of these Battle Cruisers, but then there's just no answer to the Cyclones on the ground. I guess that's the issue overall, right? There's just not enough on the ground, and obviously eventually the Cyclones lock onto the Corruptors. They will go down very quickly once the Cyclones lock on. The only thing keeping those Corruptors alive was the fact that the Cyclones fought the ground army first, knowing that if the BCs go down, it's not the end of the world, because he's just going to win the fight on the ground anyways. You see some Lings running in, and I mean, it's not the best army against Zerglings without any Hellions here, but Cyclones are still pretty reasonable at it, and the BC teleports away to stay alive as well. And Ziggy is looking to pick up game number 1 here against Bly, as these Roaches still being targeted by the Cyclones, going to get a few more kills. Everything is just going to go down. GG's, Ziggy picks up the first game. He has 5 bases on the map when it ends. Fantastic stuff. I mean, it may very well be broken, but I think calling something broken because it's winning for the first week it's being used is just looking for a chance to balance fine. And I think if you want to do that, then StarCraft isn't really the game for you anyways. The game changes, that's what patches do. And Zergs have traditionally had struggles after patches and figuring out against new strategies. Look at the 2-1-1. 2-1-1 was completely broken. 2-on-1 won every game for so long. And you know what happened? People started to figure out what to do against the 2-1-1. They started figuring out how to play against it. It didn't happen after a week. It didn't have to happen after 2 weeks. It happened after months of the 2-1-1 being very powerful. And eventually the 2-1-1 was figured out. Zergs figured out the best possible response to it. And once the Zergs had a best possible response, 2-1-1 faded away from the meta. Still used to this day. Still used, but not used every game anymore. Because it got figured out. And that's what will happen to this build as well. I am very, very confident it will. Top right hand side, our blue Zerg is Bly. And to the bottom left, our yellow Terran is Ziggy. Are new units being added to SE2, or do the balance changes and updates revolve around other things? The balance changes kind of tend to change units. For example, the Battlecruiser got updated to attack while moving. The Tempest got redesigned in this most recent patch. Cyclones got redesigned. The balance team have said that they would not be against adding a new unit in the future if they saw there was space for a new unit, but mostly we don't see new units. Although last year we got the shield battery introduced and the mothership core removed, so... Ling gets picked off to the top side. Here's a couple Lings down to the bottom. Chased around by this Reaper as well. Ling getting chased all the way away. This is triple racks, by the way, so it's 3 racks Reaper. You mentioned that Ziggy will not be against doing something crazy now and again, but Bly's gone for a fast roach roaring. Fast roaches are obviously good to be able to defend. But also, I mean, I kind of feel like this faster roach roaring is somewhat looking to be aggressive. And against aggression, the Reaper's actually pretty good because they can kind of buy a lot of time while building up into more units to eventually kind of make this work out. That's some nice grenades on that first Queen, by the way. To the point where he's going to die for Queen number 1. It'll cost him a Reaper, maybe 2. Needs to be careful. 2 Reapers go down now, and the other one is actually still low. That was the Reaper I thought was going to die, this one here. But it's still alive for the moment. Oh no, Ziggy just blasted his own Reapers into the corner. Okay, this was not the best 3-Rax Reaper attempt I've ever seen Ziggy do. Ziggy's actually pretty good with this build. This was not quite it. Ravager pops up here from Bly, which is going to start coming down to the bottom left-hand side. And that Reaper Grenade to pop his own Reapers back into the Roaches. I don't think they were getting out anyways, but it just added to the effect of it all. More Reapers on the way up. A couple more racks being added in, so he's actually just going to go mass Reaper here. His command center on the natural is finished up. Third hatchery going to come down to the top side here. Bly getting that set up now. And these few Reapers of Ziggy just hopping up to the high ground to come across and try and deny this. But again, if you imagine you had the extra 4 Reapers that you lost earlier, denying this base becomes so much easier. Then you come over here and you hop up into the main and cause some chaos. He's still going to force the cancel. It took him a little while longer than he would have liked, which meant that, again, he couldn't bully his way into here, hop up. Bly already has units there, knowing that that's a real possibility. So, good play by Bly. Very preemptive play by Bly. Preparing for that. Grenade goes down, Roaches and Ravagers getting bumped around a little bit. Ravager does fall. A couple corrosive bars continue to come in. Still trying to see what else is happening. Reapers trying not to die here as they get honestly decent kills so far, using those grenades again and again. Trying to push further into this base. That Reaper Roach comes forwards, takes a good bunch of hits. The Reaper count getting a little bit out of control at the moment here. Of course, that Roach count continues to grow as well, but he's kept on only 2 bases. With that hatchery denied once more. Scan comes down to clean up some of this creep spread too, which is always great. Really takes away the speed of some of these Roaches and Ravagers around the map. One creep team over here still around. So he actually hops up to the bottom side of the map here. And Bly is actually fortunately in position there, although I say fortunately, his Ravager takes a big beating already. If he isn't careful, might lose that. The active creep team beating spread gets taken down as well. So he gets 1 Roach. Now at this stage, what Bly wants to do is just get up to enough Roaches so you can move across the map and fight without these Reapers always darting in and out. But those grenades are very good. And again, Ziggy finds himself picking up a whole bunch of Roaches here, with a lot of Roaches hurt and really bruised already. It means that future potential kills are obviously on the horizon as well. Ravagers come in the front, the extra range is very useful. It means that they outrange the Reapers a little bit better, so actually picking them off becomes easier. But obviously the Ravagers are much more easily targeted down. Less health, no armor tag. So the Reapers take them down in 2 hits there. And Bly is bleeding off units. 1,500 to 1,000 resources lost as Ziggy goes into a 3rd command center. Starts up the +1 attack upgrade too. And I feel like this is going to be, once again, a denied 3rd hatchery. Again, was not the greatest start to this game from Ziggy in terms of losing a few of his Reapers. But since then has been starting to make this happen. Scan coming down, a couple creep tumors falling. Queen taking a couple more shots to the bottom side. Ravager's going to throw down some biles. Again, another nice grenade. Every time these Roaches get popped forwards, I mean, Ziggy is just right on top of making the most out of it. Really well done. Hatchery off to the south as the Reapers come and loop around. We're going to go straight onto the hatchery here. You'll be able to get that kill as well. So again, 3rd hatch denied. Ziggy's getting eager to really keep on fighting. Army supply is in the Zerg's favor, but again, how long has Bly just been stuck on this Roach Ravager 2 base for? A very long time, I tell you that. That's a misrallied Reaper, however. Bly goes into the Carapace upgrade, which is obviously going to help against what is a lot of attacks coming in from the Reapers, although +1 attack for the Reapers and kind of keep it evened out overall. Scans for another creep tumor here. Factory now coming down as well, so transitions starting to be a reality. Should just be a transition into bio, of course. And there's the stim pack, so he's invested one of his barracks onto the tech lab. And looks as though he's happy with what he's done so far. Happy enough to start transitioning out of the Reaper play. Some Reapers over here just left to maybe try and pick up the base. He sends some Reapers around the top side as well. This Ravager in the front has to be careful. Very easy pickings there for Ziggy if he gets on top of it. Trying to push his way onto this base, but the Roaches and Ravagers get in front of the base right away. So when they pull back, they're not leaving the base too exposed. That's actually very important for Ziggy here. That's a real important thing to take note of. Does come in with the Reapers on the south side, though. Kills off that hatchery. Fly trying to double expand, essentially, to get up to 4 bases. But again, Ziggy just having none of it. Roach speed on the way up. Again, Carapace finishing shortly. I still like these Reapers on the right side. Splitting them up a little bit. Getting some crew spread, for example, is really awesome. Oh, the Roaches get a little bit close there, though. Still not too much loss. He's going to dive in for the Ravagers now. Gets 2 of them. Man, it's still value, isn't it? Because he only lost a Reaper there. So how do you only lose 1 Reaper? Are Speedlings not the counter to this? Not really. Not with a map with so many ledges, because then you just jump up and down and you avoid the Lings and you kind of grenade them to get away. It's very hard. I mean, Speedlings, if they get a surround, are obviously fat, but getting that surround is very difficult. Ziggy again playing with 2 different sets of Reapers at the moment. Starting to make this work. Oh, these Reapers, though, just as I praise him for making it work, loses a few of them. But again, back at home now, the Bio Army's starting to get subs. So this turned into a very realistic, just sort of more standard sort of setup. Fly's going into +1 melee, +2 Carapace as he feels as though this is starting to be dealt with. Nice grenades again. Well, Ziggy lost a few too many Reapers here, though. I want to see if this Bio fights these Roaches on the right side initially. Honestly, kind of a fan still. Gets a couple of them. Roaches coming in the left side. A tank in position. No medevacs just yet. Starport is up, about to finish the reactor. It looks like the Bio for now will hold on. And this will turn into a bit more of a macro-focused game. Roaches and Ravagers coming back through the top side here again. Creeps continuing to spread forwards. Well, obviously with that +1 melee, have other plans than staying Roaches all the time, so already heading in towards the +1 melee and the Baneling Nest, showing us what the next sort of switch up is going to be. The Reapers that are left over are still kind of pushing the creep spread back, though, and it's actually very important to note how important that is to do, because it's it really has been a lot of creep that's been denied. He's even denying the creep that's connecting up this right-hand side base. The less creep there is, the easier it's going to be for Ziggy to just press across the map and to just go for a nice large fight. Zergling's about to get Zergling speed in the next few moments. Spire dropping down in the main base and coming up to the top. Ziggy just gonna try and unload and deny this 5th base. Not sure how important the 5th base really is at the moment. As Stim, of course, can just stim into this, and well, Ling's just got speed, so he's gonna try and target it down, but I don't think it works. It's very close, but just doesn't quite fall in the end. The last Reaper goes down, blown up by that Zergling. 2 more medevacs across the right side. Does he just go for a larger push? Honestly, I wouldn't even be against a larger push. He's got a bunch of tanks. It's still mostly Roach Ravager from his opponent. I actually like the idea of maybe pushing the top and dropping elsewhere at the same time. He does see this Overlord here, so Bly knows about this drop coming through. Bly is moving Roaches down over here. Ziggy's army will siege up, stimming forwards now, but it was kind of far away, so a little bit of an unsuccessful siege actually in stim. A little bit of a wasteful one. Ziggy continue to push through the top side here. We see a few Roaches already darting their way through the center of the map. They're going to be arriving on the bottom left here shortly as we see the Bio still stimming over to the far right hand side. The Wayne's going to get rid of the Overlord. The hatchery falls as well. Roaches will counterattack, so it just means that there is less though for Bly to defend with, which means he does need to do some damage with this. Ziggy pressing forward. He's going to find these Banes don't have speed yet. On the right side, he gets that hatchery as well and can continue to use this drop effectively. Oh, he's going to lose +2 attack though, so Ziggy will fall behind on the upgrades, losing his engineering bay. It's a lot of Roaches counterattacking. This army here kind of feels like maybe I should try and jump on this base, but it's hard. He has taken Bly back down to 3 bases. That is very nice, but again, this counterattack is doing a lot of work. A lot of work. A little bit of Bio here still fighting, and Ziggy will continue to clean up just a few more Roaches at the moment. Continue to take these down. Those roaches getting taken down there. Bio down to the bottom. Roaches coming across. Planetary Fortress is able to pick those roach kills up there. Mutalisk on the way up. Supply completely changing up his playstyle from the roaches that he used earlier to stay alive until this point. Ziggy again with this drop to try and come in and cancel this base, but he runs right through this taken watchtower, so Bly knows about it so far in advance. I mean, that's the stamina boost away. Get me out of here, he says. And he's trying to counter-attack around now as well. One of the issues for Ziggy is that he lost his wall off here, so he needs to be very careful about replacing that, because if he doesn't, Lings will just run in and start to make his life very difficult. And this is going to be one of the weaknesses of the Terran now, having to deal with these counterattacks all over his bases if he lets Bly get there. Bly has still a ton of money in the bank as well, by the way. Mutalisk's going to fly in overhead and just comes in straight away. Gets those couple of shots off on the Mutas, but Medevac's going down. Bly has a lot of Mutalisks here, and so he needs to really find an answer to it. His Marine count feels very low. He's very Marauder and tank heavy to help him deal with the roaches earlier, so his Mutas are actually starting to work wonders. The missile turrets obviously are not ready at the moment. Marines will just have to chase around and stop the Mutas from doing as much as possible, which is, at the moment, actually not that much. And actually the Mutas flying into missile turrets over here will actually lose a couple of Mutalisks, so this wasn't cheap by any stretch of the imagination. Random rogue Medevac in some trouble. So he actually built the Ghost Academy. That's something he won't invest to as long as this remains kind of Lingbane meter or so. Ghost Academy maybe expecting Hive Tech to start coming down, but obviously without that, there's no real reason to make those ghosts, because that Hive Tech is what the ghosts are good against. So if there isn't Hive Tech in the game, no reason to do much about it. His missile turrets again push those Mutas away. Lings counter-attacking from Bly into the natural. Already Marines coming down the ramp there, though, and with the kind of wall off that ramp gives you, stops the surround. These Zerglings will continue to fall. Ziggy's really kind of struggling without the +2 attack, mind you. The fact that he is 1-1 against the 2-2 is obviously very painful here, and that is just repercussions of Bly having picked that off earlier in the game. 18 SCVs going down as Bly hits this base. Ziggy just cannot kind of stabilize for long enough to kind of push across the map. And to punish Bly for being so high on the Mutalisk count. I mean, he's above 20 Mutalisks here, 28. If Ziggy goes across the map, I mean, there is Lingbane available, but so much of Bly's supply is in Mutalisks. They could become an issue. Let's see. The army supplies are even as we do see Ziggy moving across. Mutas are just picking off all of the production, so there's not going to be any sort of rebuild here. Lings and Banes running in. Ziggy wasn't really ready for it, not sieged up at all, but the tanks are kind of tanking against the Banelings. He's kind of left with pure bio units, but it feels like Bly's probably done enough to try and tie this series up now. Going to be seeing that hatchery in some trouble. Mutas in the main base picking their way through all of these structures. A lot of racks and so on going down. This hatchery falls. Everything here from Bly just overrunning again. Ziggy's not able to rebuild everything. He decided to essentially go all in with this army, but it's not quite worked out. As you see, the Banes continue to roll on through, and this is going to be Ziggy cleaned up. And at that point, I think he realizes this is probably a GG. Pulls it out right there. Bly fights back, takes it to a 1-1 after being numbers the wrong way around in my mind there. A 5th best of 3 already. Crazy. As we have to the bottom right-hand side, the red Zerg player. This is Bly. Up against the yellow Terran in the upper left, our Terran player Ziggy. We'll see what he goes for in game number 3. From a battlecruiser rush to free rack sweep, but they were both successful. The free rack sweep obviously didn't win him the game in the end, but it did put him into a good spot, I feel, building up into it. Alright. So, we're going to be seeing this Rax going to finish up in a moment or so. Overlord of Bly heading towards the upper left-hand side. And we do see the Orbital Command just starting to morph in from Ziggy here at the moment. So, Orbital Command starting to morph in. Reaper on the way out. And 4 Zerglings currently coming through. Obviously, with the pool first, it means that Bly can put on a little bit of pressure early in the game. Isn't going to catch Ziggy too off guard or anything. I mean, Ziggy's not trying to be aggressive at all, so it's not going to give him It's not going to give Bly like a major lead against potential attacks or anything like that. Let's see these couple of Zerglings moving up the right-hand side here. And this Reaper of Ziggy just coming down through the center of the map. See what else might happen. Well, Marine was made, but has to make sure it gets right onto those lings. Ziggy pulls it back immediately, so waiting for a couple of SCVs to show up to be able to help out that Marine and get micro around the SCVs there. And it'll be enough done from the Marine there to stop any SCVs going down, basically. The CC is kept building as well, so no delay at all, really. Very nicely done. Good open from Ziggy against the heavy aggression. Just set up into this. Reaper hops down to the low ground and is going to come in to try and pick up a few of those drones between there to help push that Reaper away, though. So Reaper getting pushed back up the right side. Hatchery dropping onto the third base. And that link speed is just coming up. So link speed about to finish as we do see the command center and the hatchery booming down on each side of the map. Viking on the way up from Ziggy as we get this underway. And there's that Rotoron dropping down. Supply just going straight into the roaches. This is one a bit more of a macro focus, though, of course. Fusion core from Ziggy, so going back to the battle cruisers. I wonder if Bly does actually. You see he's got almost 200 gas. I wonder if he adds some overloads. I wonder if he just goes Roach Ling attack. Because the Roach Ling aggression has been one of the big things against battle cruisers, where the BCs just do not clean up before too much damage has been done. And that's definitely caused some issues for the Terran players. It's probably been the most successful consistent build I've seen against the battle cruisers so far. It could be the style here from Bly, because it looks as though his Roach-Roman's going to finish. Looks like he's going to go for this here, so 7 roaches on the way up. There's extra overlords coming through. You can afford a couple more roaches. Most importantly, he'll start to reinforce with Zerglings across the map. With that link speed, obviously, they can come across the map very quickly, and that's going to be a very big, important thing. Because the lings that continue running in, it takes the battle cruisers just a little while to clean those up, because there's so many of them and they're running around all over. That's where you kind of really extend the damage output of this attack. Battle cruiser gets started. And there's the rep and refit coming down as well. Bly does start a lair behind this, so has something of a follow-up. The Viking will see the roaches coming across the map, so Ziggy sees this for the first time right now. Roaches already beyond the halfway marker. Why not going into drones or anything with the lair, just more and more Zerglings. It's going to be important for the roaches, of course, to try and push those Hellions back. You do not want the Hellions to get too much damage onto the lings, of course. The Hellions go for the lings, but they run straight into the roaches to do it. So it's quite costly. However, it is buying time where those depots are not dropped down. So without the depots falling, it means that, of course, it buys time for the battle cruisers to come up, and it minimizes times where SCVs are being lost. But SCVs will now start to go down. Lings turn back around. Hellions taking some damage. And a couple of them going down here already. Just lings and roaches still streaming in towards the natural. Here comes the battle cruiser showing up right away. As we see, lings and roaches going to go straight into the main base, though. So again, the BC will just take a while to truly clean this up. And already 13 workers killed. More SCVs going down in the main. Bly has another wave of Zerglings. And after this wave of Zerglings, it'll go from there. And there you go, guys. Like we've been saying, there are